that's another practice. Did you had a former study before?
Yeah.
What did you study and how long?
Harmony?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jazz harmony or classical?
Jazz harmony. Yeah. First, interval. So, no, I studied the foundation. Yeah. Harmony. Yeah.
So the harmonic functions. There are only three. Actually, each and every chord that you will find in a tune can be placed in one of these three functions, or it has an embellishing kind of function. So we deal with structural chords, what is really important to make the tune come true, and what is more the embellishing kind, passing chords, native chords, maybe suspension chords, and that you have it diminished over another root, and then it resolves. Yeah, those are chords which embellish, make the harmony nicer, and actually necessary. Otherwise, jazz harmony evolved so much in 100 years that it's amazing. Yeah? I mean, they play very simple tunes in 100 years ago, with only bare dominance from one dominant to another. And now we have a complete system of 2/5s, tritone 2/5s, chromatic movement in diminishes. Everything was already there, but now we have a very specific, very colorful harmony and how that functions. So the first year will be really dedicated to really going to hear and write down without an instrument. Though I might give you I will send maybe by email or through Teams. I will make an assignment for you with it. Then I upload. Now I should actually send you an email for an MP3 with a CD tune. Uploading it in an environment like Microsoft Teams is not a good idea. I have to put a link to Spotify. All sort of new things that I didn't think about before, but yeah, it's a bit of a recreating my own job here a little bit. But that's what we're going to do. I tell you the key center, and then okay. Next week. It says GT on the schedule right now, or and it means gehoortraining. Ear training. But yeah, we can do that in class. But then I watch you doing ear training, and then I'm just walk around. But for now, maybe we can spend our time a bit better. It's a thing that you can do at home, since you are all harmony players. So that would be a good idea to do at home. And we spent a lesson in discussing music, analyzing music. I can take a look at your transcriptions, but also voicings. We're going to write 4-part, 5-part voicings in a strict method, but also a little bit more variable because the melody should be a top voice, or 5-part harmony. Finally, we're going to harmonize melodies. So you're getting a paper with a melody, and then, okay, where are the important functions, and how can you go from point A to point B? So that the only reference that you have is a melody. Then you need to be able to internalize that melody, so internal solfège, and create a bass line to it, or possible harmonization.
This is going to be exciting.
Yes.
Very good.
It's actually arranging, but then so that's and the more harmonic cliches, that's a bit of a negative term, but the more possibilities you know, how to go from the first degree finally to the fourth degree, the more proficient you will be to hear that. Solfège is another important thing. We're going to sing bass lines, middle voices, the thirds and the sevenths. You sitting at the piano playing the bass and singing one of the guide tones. That creates a very good inner ear for the middle voices. That's an important tool too. So for those who don't play piano, this is your biggest friend, actually. Harmonically, this is your biggest friend, and that's even more so for singers and for drummers.
Yeah.
But also saxophone players, they are very or trumpet player, very good melodic ear. Yeah, but this is also important. So we're going to analyze also the relationship between a given melody and harmony. That's important. So is it a chord tone, or is it maybe a passing tone? Or is it maybe a suspension that moves to a passing tone? All those kind of technical terminology we'll revisit maybe, or hear for the first time in this way. I will probably name things differently than you are used to. That could be the case. The tradition in the Netherlands is that we have actually the harmony is jazz harmony is not just like the Berkeley method, but the foundation finds in the German and the French music theory tradition, and about the fundament, the theory of fundament harmony, and that's actually working quite well for tonal music like jazz is for a lot of decades in jazz. But what did you study before?
I just finished school this year.
Yeah.
So I always study music, but not jazz. Not jazz at school. I do like a school, so normal subject, and also music subjects. So and also classic guitar. Always studying classic guitar. But 3 years ago, I started like taking private lesson of jazz. I also study harmony on the instruments and all this stuff, but I think I never did something like this, so like in a class and study all together jazz theory. Always did it by myself with my teacher, alone, private. So
Everybody's background is different, actually. That's for sure. And what we are just talking about, tritone dominance or functions.
yeah, it's okay. Yeah, I use it.
Yeah, that's no.
Maybe would be nice, like if it could be clear, maybe I don't know. Yeah. So
Yeah, the
I know
terminology and what it means exactly.
function,
Yeah.
function, the know all the functions. So we're gonna here to learn. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And you studied.
I studied 2 years classical percussion, so I have rather classical or theoretical background with more classical stuff. So and my jazz knowledge with all this function and harmonic stuff isn't that good, I would say. So for me, it's good to get a basic fundament right now. So
That's what we do in the first year.
So I'm also really scared of singing and hearing, because I know that this is my biggest problem. I had these problems in my further studies with hearing, but I'm willing to learn. And
I brought something, by the way, but we could maybe try that out. I'm just thinking.
But I guess it's a drummer's problem.
Maybe.
I hope.
I'd like to see you.
Yeah, maybe we can.
There you go. Maybe a music stand.
Here, there's one here also if you want. Maybe it would be better. What do you think?
Then we could all sit here, right like this, and then.
Yeah, I think the table is there where they left
Oh,
years
okay.
ago. So I don't know. Maybe. Oh yeah. So, and if you like this, place. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. Beautiful piano chair. So this is already better.
We can come here. So maybe just the beginner go to the
Do
table.
you have enough? I mean, we could use maybe the left light. Still create something. No, it doesn't work anymore. No. Let's make this a little bit of a clean. So,
I'm in here.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, where? Is that something? Yeah, if you could. This stuff is all way too heavy. Thanks very much. This is for later concern. Beautiful. Yeah. What, for instance, did you play at your, or what you need to record for your entrance exam? What tunes did you play?
I play for the pre-selection, so the video. Down the Dream. I'll be seeing you.
Yeah.
Blues. Turn
What blues?
around. Ornette Coleman.
Which one?
Turn around.
The Big Whale.
Yeah.
Yeah. Darn, that Dream is a heavy cat.
Yeah. Of course.
Why did you choose that?
Because it's beautiful. Of
Yeah.
course. It's beautiful, and when I start watching it and listen to it,
Yeah. Which
I-
version did you listen to actually?
I like so much. If you talk me about guitar version, I would say like Kurt Rosenwinkel version. So it's one of the first album, maybe the first one, just record with Chris Cross. And it's a great. I think it's a very good version also because there's a very good piano solo. Then you can transcribe easily. It's very simple and it's very good.
Well, simple in what way?
And
Tell me that.
we could listen if you want. During the Dream. Yeah, this is the. Rhythm up again with the amplifier. Maybe will be better with.
Yeah. Do you have any idea how many chords you already changed
Yeah.
Yeah.
from the original? Huh? Does
Yeah.
everybody know Darn That Dream?
Signature.
You know where it's the famous recording, where it comes from? Who is the first? Well, the first, but a very famous jazz version by Darn That Dream.
Very famous jazz version.
Miles Davis.
Miles Davis.
Yeah. Birth of the Cool. Birth of the Cool.
The Dream. Yeah.
It's on the album Birth of the Cool. And what this guy is doing is nice, but it's
Yeah, it's
heavy.
yeah,
It's
it's
heavy. The tune already is.
you need to put it
I
out.
have to sit like this. Ba-ba-dee-da. Does he do that? Changing everything. Okay, he's changing the melody. He's leaving the melody almost exactly the same, but almost everything is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost.
Good example of what happens in jazz in 60 years time from the original. And this
This
is
is,
what we,
I think, it's modern version from 2000. I think 2001. I don't know.
1998.
98. Okay.
There's one at home.
Yeah.
When I was still bought some CDs in the previous century. But it's good to know, and that will be one of the second year topics to do. At the end of the second year, you have to make 3 assignments. Not this year yet, but in the end of the second year, a year from now, where you make a comparison. We start this kind of work already. Then we listen to a recording and then say, oh, yeah, these are the original changes from the composer himself. Then you see that there's sometimes a lot changed from 1930 till a later version. And Darn That Dream, was written, I don't know where it was written for, probably for either a musical, live on stage, or another kind of show, or a movie. And this category of tunes, and written by official composers, that's what we call the American Songbook. The American Songbook. So the great composers like George Gershwin, Cole Porter, Richard Rodgers, Harold Arlen, Jerome Kern, Cole Porter already said.
Irving Berlin.
Irving Berlin.
This is Jimmy Van Heusen, I think.
Jimmy Van, yeah, and Jimmy Van Heusen, and he composed also tunes for movies.
Yeah.
Sammy Kahn. I think he's a lyricist.
Semi Fate.
And
No,
sorry?
Semi Fate, I don't know.
Sammy from Jules Stein. All guys, but the big six or big five, big six, just how you count, is really, they're responsible for a lot of tunes which were taken up by jazz players. But not for me. The tune was almost a forgotten Gershwin tune until Chet Baker recorded it in 1954. So, but the first chord is not F7.
E flat.
E flat.
That's right.
This is what Miles Davis did a couple of months later than Chet Baker. The competitive trumpet player thought, okay, what he can do, I can do better. But actually it starts, that's the whole fun, that you have two different things with the same sort of melody. Now, that sort of analysis, that the melody is being harmonically varied a little later, that's what we're going to take a look at, because we'll also take a look at the harmony really defines whether a melody will be successful or not. And most of the melodies in jazz standards are pretty much diatonic. So, and if you don't do anything special with those melodies in terms of harmony, it sounds dull too. Yeah, why not? Yeah. Everything is
I
tonic.
think the first version it was like 4 bars E flat.
Yeah.
I think Gershwin version.
Yeah.
Always E flat.
That's what you see in the original song sheet. Now you don't want to play this. You know?
Yeah.
It's impossible. No, sorry. So that's not a very good thing to do. Now what he is doing, Rosenwinkel and many artists from his generation, now already earlier, Keith Jarrett and those guys, new guitar players, new piano players. And guitar is a bit of a novelty in jazz, just like vibraphone is.
Yeah.
But piano is as old as Earl Hines, Willie the Lion Smith. Those guys with their stride piano really set actually the harmonic improvements in motion in jazz. Just like the big bands were important just to disperse certain styles throughout the United States in the beginning, just to give recognition to good players in the 30s most of the time. Harmony is an important tool. Most of the thing that we're going to talk about this year is how to improve the harmony. It doesn't have to make, we don't have to make it very necessarily difficult all the time, but a thing like, for instance, the tritone dominant. One or two examples I know somewhere in these original song sheets by the standard composers, actually, but not for me, has one, but not in the way you hear them. And then he very heavy device. I know one other song, Everything Happens to Me, but that's written much later, after the bebop revolution.
Yeah.
You know, the triton dominant is excessively used on the bebop album, but not before, not really, not constantly. So all the 2/5 tritones that you see written in books like, again, maybe for the last time this year, Berkeley, it's not really, you don't see that in early music. Yeah, maybe when the players themselves started to compose tunes, but that's very much later. That's from the bebop again on. The players themselves started to write original tunes. These are what we call originals, which became standard in the repertoire. Around midnight, you regard this as a standard, but actually it's not written by Gershwin, it's written by Thelonious Monk, who was a player. Original tunes, original songs. So the first year is really lay the fundament for the second year, where we're going to expand a little bit our horizon with slash chords. This is a classical inversion, but not in jazz hands. It can be even a shortcut for a thing like this. And
one short question: when we're talking about the first and the second year, are you talking about the whole
the
year
whole
or
package.
the semester, like the half of the year?
Yeah, I'm thinking in years.
In
Complete years.
completely 1 year of.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm thinking school years.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Not in calendar years.
Yeah.
I think of the whole program. So those are the more daring things like quartal voicings. Of course, we can also make an excursion a little bit to those, of course. But they undermine slash chords a little bit. All these kind of triads with a wrong bass note.
Yeah.
They undermine a little bit that sense of tonality. They really want to break away from that.
So it's like modal.
Yeah, you could yes and no. This is the answer usually, because a thing like this, probably you will hear the top voice as the root of this chord, because yay, ya da dee da da. The top voice of a voicing is always what catches your attention first.
Yeah.
But if I do this, what is then the root? Could be any root or a lot of roots. Now this kind of becoming more of an upper structure as a sound. I can do this still, or this, or any kind of environment where you put this kind of amorph sounding chord. Now that's typically second year. So, because it's much more difficult to grasp and put it in a tonality. So also what you just said about Darn That Dream. Really want to know? Yeah.
No, we are not
How
really.
difficult tune you played,
Yeah,
because
definitely.
some of the topics I discussed in the second year. That's of course you are allowed to play Darn That Dream because it's a beautiful melody. But it's always good to know the original changes.
Yeah,
that
but
you can rely on.
I do the original changes on when I play. No,
Because this is
I just like to listen. I just prescribe some
Yeah.
stuff.
Of
Ju-
course.
not at all. Just what I like.
it's good to compare different versions of the same song. Now that element, what you will probably always do,
Everybody does.
that's what everybody.
Yeah, of
And that is that's part of the closure of the second year, that you do that yourself and formalize it in an assignment. You transcribe a couple of versions, the themes, and then you make a written analysis of it. Now, that's the end of the second year. But the first year we're going to set some things straight in order to
To get to this point.
Because in Garden Dream, just to, there are some very traditional things going on, as old as Jean-Philippe Rameau, who describes the fact that the fourth degree like this, that you can make the fourth degree like a minor chord. That's a very powerful tool. Every form of music has this, yeah, maybe not dance music, I don't know that, but pop music, classical music, jazz music, bossa nova, this chord is in always, and variations of it, because chord substitution is a very important thing. If you do a thing like this, then you probably remember that this is the root of the tonality. Even kijken of dat stil moet zitten. Het is een beetje wobbly. Even kijken waar die zit. So passing chords like this is the second degree, but the second degree has multiple uses. For instance, like this, but also in a cadence back home to one. So we will analyze chord symbols with Roman numerals, but where you place these chords in the tune, or what the function is not only determined by the Roman numeral that you put under it. 2 is 2 for sure, but how does it function inside the harmony? That's an important addition to that. I have a reader with a lot of material in it. I'm just trying to figure out, once we've met the first year, whether I'm going to send you the whole material for 2 years to you, or I'm going to send it step by step, then we can maybe discuss it also. Usually I give it as a background. Oh yeah, this is what we talked about, and then here you can find it back. Maybe not this year, because it's a bit of a scattered situation right now. We see each other on and off, so it might be handy to discuss some things centrally, and that you can also work with it yourself, and then a little bit more instruction will be needed, I guess.
About the exam at the end of
Yes.
this year, is it going to be like individual exams, or is
Good
it?
question. I don't know yet. Some things will be individual. Yeah, everything is individual. Yeah. In
Yeah.
the sense you do an individual exam.
Okay, because of this passing thing that you kick us out if we do not pass, and if it's a general.
Did I say something about passing? Passing
They
chord?
no. They told us about the.
Propedeutic phase or propedeutic.
Oh yeah. Well, if you don't finish all your subjects, all of them, so ADV, so theory with me, solfège, ear training, and maybe also harmony and harmony in the piano or rhythm. Yeah, then you don't have the amount of credits that you need, and it's 45 or 50, I don't know.
50.
Yeah.
50 is the.
So if you pass this subject, then yeah, you're cool.
But you still don't know if it's in the end an exam for everybody the same on the same level, because my teacher told me that this is the great thing now with my other vibraphone colleague,
Yeah.
that he's on a completely different level, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's not about a general level he is thinking about, so he can develop his way, and at the end he says, okay, the development was good enough, I will let him in the next year, and my development is completely different because I have another basic, but he will also let me through the year as well.
That's maybe for main.
Independently.
Different story, never. No, you get one and the same exam in the end.
Okay.
But
Okay.
of course, we have different parameters to take a look at. There's some sort of a minimum level that you need to have.
Okay, that was my question.
Yeah.
If you prove us individually and then you say, okay, you did it through the year like this, or have one exam for everybody.
Yes.
Okay.
There are some things that need to be
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
clear. Yeah. But above that, yeah, then everybody has a different level. How higher the grade will be.
Yeah, for sure.
That's,
Yeah.
that's the idea. Really.
Okay.
But there's a general exam for everybody.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That was the question.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. And how many work you put into this year will determine
Yeah.
your grade.
For sure.
So, speaking of exams, in January is already the first one.
Okay.
That's new this year, so it's a bit, I need to find it out a little bit how to do this also. Maybe it will be in a week with Teams, I don't know. Then we do this in here, in this room, or at home, I don't know yet. But that will be 1/3 of your final grade in January. In order also to get accustomed to being doing exams in JS. But it's that's also just to get a little bit of a fundament. Let's say if you have a bad day in May or so, that you don't need to fail. But I'm not so much about failing as there are not so many people failing.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because
but
of the fact that everybody can develop. Everybody is developing in his own pace.
Yeah.
There's always something good somewhere, but some things need to be there. Also, that's important. And in May we will do an exam. We're a bit starting right now. I will also send you maybe a schedule. What is also new, apart from this whole thing here, is that we're going to do a sort of periodical division of the year, which is very normal in universities, for instance, but not on a conservatory in The Hague. That's a new thing. We will work with blocks of 9 weeks. The first 7 are regular, let's say regular. How regular is this? But in a regular group lesson, live or online in this case. And 2 weeks of no lesson with me. First lesson will be first week, then I will give a central lecture, online or in school, I don't know yet. And the second week will be individual coaching for me, if you wish, if you like, to talk about, oh yeah, you said in the beginning of the year something about it, but I still didn't get it. And so that you try to figure out, oh yeah, is there any problem? Can I ask this? Can I ask that? So that's more of an individual. How that will be shaped, I don't know. Maybe on Teams, or that you have 15 minutes with me, and then I still have a full day of all my students consecutively. I don't know. Let's see. It's not necessary, but it's possible, and it creates a little bit air, or sort of, a weekly lesson is nice, but it can also be maybe that you think I have to study, I have to do something else. Rather not. But now these 7 weeks are there for the instruction and giving you a lot of advice to do it yourself, and then we could maybe work on a little bit of building up a portfolio, so that you show me that after a couple of weeks. That's also a possibility. Maybe not right in the beginning of the year, maybe throughout the year, that everything is there. A bit of a homework check, sort of. Yeah, that's also new for me. I did this normally. I have a class and I walk around and I think, yeah, everything's more or less okay. Or yeah, maybe think of that. But then you can make it a little bit more personal. So this booklet that I have makes good notes. Otherwise, I forget what I said in October, somewhere in May. So it's always a bit of a. But it's interesting. Let's see how that works. In January there won't be almost any lesson in a group. The first week me and my colleagues are going to the other part of the Netherlands and talk about how to make education better in the conservatory. And the 2 weeks after that are individual coaching moments, because the week after, the last week of January, will be the exams.
Yeah.
So then it's good to ask whatever you want. If everything is clear, then you can also say, okay, not for me this time. I'll work on my instrument. So that's there's a little bit more of space inside the usual very tight scheduled weekly lessons of this. And then there will be also a second lecture in January and a third lecture somewhere in March. A central lecture for all years, actually. So there will be from relatively easy to more, they also kind of see what will happen in the third year, for instance, for this subject, because there's also a third year of theory where you can choose subjects, projects, third year projects about Wayne Shorter and Miles Davis, for instance, Scofield Matheny for the hip stuff on guitar. There's not going to be a piano thingy, but there's big band, also Gil Evans, Charlie Parker, classical harmony, if you want to brush it up, explained for jazzers. Not anymore.
No. Stop.
Enough to choose.
You know?
So that's the third year, and then in the third year, arranging starts. We have a new teacher for arranging this year, so it's also new for me what will happen, how this will develop. In previous years, it was also just to write for octet or for big band. But maybe there will be a new turn in this. But okay, that's for 2 years in your case. Yeah. Now, Darn That Dream, what did you play?
I played You Don't Know What Love Is as a ballad.
Yeah.
Then
Which key?
in F minor.
Can you give me 5 other songs, 5 other standards in a minor tonality?
In a minor tonality. Autumn Leaves is minor.
Yeah. Yes or no? It ends in minor. That's already what I just give you for an answer. Is not is that an answer? Yes or no?
Okay.
It starts in major and ends in minor. In what minor? What is the relationship with that minor? Because I'm thinking of a first degree minor.
The first minor, it's like I think the first. We are talking about what is the key? In what key you did? Autumn Leaves. What key? So G minor
G
or
G minor is the final
minor,
key.
so
It
the
starts
the first
in B
score?
flat major.
yeah B
And
flat
that
major.
relationship, how do you call that?
Relative minor.
In English, it's relative minor.
Yeah.
And parallel of Deutsch, and in the Netherlands, so in parallel minor in
Yeah,
English
okay,
means
then yeah, for sure, then it's
minor and major with the same name.
Yeah.
So G major, G minor, and relative is B flat major and G minor. That's an important
Yeah.
thing that we have to learn this year and next year, because that can be tricky. What I want to say, major and minor with the same name, G and G, major and minor, and minor and major with the same key signature, both 2 flats. Now, that sort of thing, yeah, you're half right.
half right. Okay, half right.
Can you give me another standard tune in the minor tonality from the beginning to the end?
Like Orpheus, for example, is
That's
in,
not original.
okay, then
Because when
hip hop.
players are going to write their own tunes, things that are not explored, that's what they did. Minor is an unexplored feature. You Don't Know What Love is one of the few examples.
Then I really have to think about it.
I don't know, summertime. I think.
Summertime, yeah, for
is-
sure. Summertime.
Softly as in a morning sunrise.
3,
Beautiful Love.
Beautiful.
4, Alone Together, maybe, sort of.
Yeah, Alone Together.
There's
right?
another trick with that song, because he's going to the relative and to the parallel major.
Yeah,
But ends
but he come back in minor.
Yeah, so that's 5.
So
Origin is an original from
Which one?
Sonny Rollins.
Yeah.
Origin.
Yeah, it's an original.
Solar. I don't know.
That's an
That's a
original.
major song.
Major song.
Yeah. Miles made it in minor, but he stole it from a guitar player.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Chuck Wayne. He made a recording, an undocumented recording,
Wow.
and Miles stole it.
I
Just
didn't
like
know.
many other songs, by the way. Sorry, I'm bashing you.
Yeah, good stuff.
But actually, if you would start playing Solar with a major chord at the beginning, then tune makes finally sense.
Yeah.
Try it. Not the minor major.
So
thing.
just major chords.
Major chord, major
Okay.
6/9 chord.
Okay. Yeah.
Not a nice
Major.
chord there. Actually, major. Makes much more sense. Now, speaking of minor, in relationship to major, major is always winning. All the standards are in major. Even My Funny Valentine ends in the relative major
E flat.
because it's a happy.
That's right.
It should be a happy ending in the musical, you know. So, minor is too gloomy. You and the night and the music, yada 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 yeah. Major third. It starts in minor, always ending in major. A lot of songs. But from the beginning to the ending in minor is a rarity. So you could ask yourself, why is that? Any idea why major, or maybe you don't think in that way, but
Why what?
why are there more tunes in major? Yeah, because of the happy sound, you know, and less in minor. Maybe because of the happy things that should occur in the musical. Minor is gloomy, yeah? But interesting, but a bit gloomy.
Maybe for happiness. I don't know.
For that.
And I think it's, well, because of the jazz vocabulary, that you have more colors if you play things in major.
Yeah.
And then you can get more different chords from substitutions that are darker sounds. And minor is more uniform in the color, I mean the dominance. If you in major you do in a dominant you play a substitute on an altered dominant, then you get a new color and more tension to the one. But in minor, that's the scale already for the dominance. So it's like less contrast.
Now, the fact that you can do this in minor.
I mean, there's like less vocabulary to be done in minor. You have to be more creative, I think, and more inventive.
Yeah, there's less possibilities.
Yeah. And then maybe in the modal era they invented other things with Dorian and side slipping and more pentatones.
Yeah, this can be major or minor, if you want. But it's true. Major is after 5 minutes you want to kill yourself if you still hear this, you know? Hopeless. Major is so perfect. There's only one scale for major. For minor we need more scales to illustrate the difficulty.
Depends what's minor.
Yeah. To do the same harmonic possibilities in minor, we need to raise the 7th note into a leading tone. Now, if there is no leading tone between the 7th and the first note, the tonic note is the tonality, then we don't have the same possibilities in terms of harmonic functions. Harmonic minor, therefore, is called harmonic because of the harmonic possibilities that you create. Minor is what is minor? Is that built on the 6th note of major,
Yeah.
as you probably know. Why not on the first degree of a minor tonality? And that's exactly the problem of parallel and relative minor. You have already 2 places to start. But in our jazz ears, if you listen to a minor, you don't know what love is. I don't think that this is the 6th degree in major. This is 1 in minor. And that's typically jazz. idea. Yeah? So minor, major, and that's what you just said about harmonic possibilities.
Excuse me.
Hey,
Hi.
Hello.
Anton here. Am I supposed to be here?
I get, oh,
Or the other
I
one?
forgot.
Because I cannot seem to get into the schedule. Or, because you started 11:15, right?
What's it? 11:50. Yeah, I started at 10. Yeah, we already did an hour's guy. But we stay in this room. If you don't mind, if we can allow him to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Technically,
Thanks, you
no,
used,
please come in.
okay.
You're up. Hey, oh, yeah, no, that's fine. No,
think I got
please
some
take a
help.
chair. Because, yeah, this is, we're entering now the theory lesson. We already did. But can you tell me, as far as I'm concerned, you can also be in the lesson, in this lesson before, for GT or ear training. Do you have a schedule, or is it?
Yeah, I have a schedule. I
Yeah.
cannot seem to like. No, apparently not. It's just says jazz music theory from 11:15 to 12 in MOVE
Yeah.
0.7.
Yeah. Now I'm moved into another. In this is not 0.7. I guess it's. Does it say right now?
This is 6.
6. Fine enough. We stay here. Let's not move into another one because we are practically the same group. It doesn't make any sense. Do you have a lesson at 10:15?
11:15. Sorry, I just brought like the whole confusion.
No.
With me to this group, I guess.
This is one of my questions. Do you have another lesson, maybe with my colleague, called GT1?
Well, so this is called KCTJ ATV1 14
Yes.
Jazz Music Theory 1.
Do you have on another day?
And
Oh
today-
yeah, you have. No. Yeah, yes. No, not on my list. Do you have lessons by Eric Albier?
probably the other teacher then. Thank you for sorting this.
No. You're scheduled in here, but it would be nice that you do follow. I just explained to the guys that I teach a group for 3 subjects: ATV, GT, and solfège. Now, solfège is not really on the schedule yet.
Yeah.
That's nice, and we have the same group, then we discuss the same items through the different subjects.
Okay, yeah. Because I didn't have any ear training in my schedule, so
Oh.
That's it.
yeah, probably.
Did you enroll late into the school or right away in, what was it, April or May?
Yeah, straight away. So
So that couldn't be the problem. Yeah, so we start actually an hour earlier. So please stay here.
yeah.
And maybe let's, yeah, that you kind of know that you, unless Eric Albier has you on the list for that subject that you just missed with us.
Yeah.
And that could be the case, that you are on another day. But if you don't have anything to do an hour before this time, then you might as well, it could be just a regular schedule problem that,
Yeah.
that they overlooked you. So, what do you play?
Guitar.
Guitar.
Yeah.
We just talked about Rosenwinkel. We just, I'm just making a sort of an introductory lesson what will happen
Okay.
this year, and we were just talking about very deeply about the role of the minor tonality in jazz. We just came up with 5 standard tunes completely in minor. Maybe one more, but that's about it. Sort of difficulty in minor. Minor is beautiful, but the harmonic possibilities are different. If you would make chord progressions in major, that's far more easier to explain. Secondary dominant, secondary diminished chords, triton dominant, all that sort of things is easy to explain in a major tonality, but minor is a different monster. Yeah. it in middle voice. My Funny Valentine, that's the original harmony. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Really true. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. Minor is beautiful, but you don't hear so much movement. Oh yeah, that's the other problem of this building. We have a little bit too much noise from the neighbors. Is that above us or?
I don't know.
It comes from everywhere, I guess.
This is awful. Does this make any? No. Maybe also they don't doing it. Another thing about my minor is if you leave indeed tonic triad, I can easily play the fourth degree under it. So the common tones that you see in minor, that's typically a minor feature. You can do that. So harmony is not equal in minor as it is to major. I mean, you cannot compare it in that sense. The story about major is very much more bigger than what I have to tell you about minor. Usually you will find features from minor inside a major tonality, like the fourth degree minor, or a half diminished chord on the second degree. So minor is so boring. We need to decorate it with secondary dominance, triton dominance, elements from minor in it. That is actually the relationship between major and minor, a very difficult one to explain, how that relationship is. And what else did you play apart from You Don't Know What Love Is?
The God I Made and Autumn Leaves then.
Yeah. Now, speaking of Autumn Leaves, you played it in G minor. Now, this is the diatonic model for autumn leaves in major. There are no chord symbols yet, but this is the movement of the harmony. This very specific one, of course, if I start a little later. Is the diatonic model for one song.
A lot of things are
Oh, sure. Fly me to the moon. But this diatonic model never occurs in jazz. Yeah, in Baroque music, in triads, there it occurs. The weak spots in our weaker spots in the chain of fifth relationship chords, and how that will be, we do in a proper lesson after this lesson, are those two actually. Here are those two. Well, not in this tune, but here it is in All Things You Are. And this is all it is. This is 6. And this is 2. So there's a long way going down in fifths. And of course, for a moment you think that you are in the major tonality, and a little later, if I would do this, we stay in the key B flat. Of course, that doesn't happen because this, almost out of a natural desire to hear a leading tone, harmonic minor is coming in. The F sharp here is a created leading tone, an alteration. which is actually what we need very quickly in jazz music. Pure diatonic harmony doesn't exist. We have pure diatonic melodies with no My Romance, by the way, is pure diatonic melody, but the harmony is as sophisticated as can be, and can be harmonized in 4 different ways. That also. That's another beautiful song that we can talk about. But this is this half diminished chord. It's also good to straighten out maybe the nomenclature for chord symbols, because that can also differ a little bit. I don't use a 7 behind this one or behind this one, only here. So now it's going to be the first degree. If you play 7 here, I can still hear B flat. If you make it a triad, or maybe added 6, that happened in bebop quite a lot. Even There Will Never Be Another You, that beautiful song, they play in bar 5 a minor 6 chord. Oh, not minor 7. That really to get that kind of major, minor pendule, so to speak. And that's kind of a balance between the two. And so 6th degree is relative minor, but we make it a 1st degree and not really a 6th degree. Now, what you get is, of course, in G minor here, 2, 5, 1. That's what the ears will make out of it, by the way. And that we have a 6th degree here, or with it 4th degree. Yeah. What did I write down? Yeah, of course. That's, for instance, not in the original song sheet. It only has 2, 5, 1, 2, 5, 1. That's it. The original French chanson doesn't have this. This is, of course, what we inserted for playing reasons usually. And but out of the 7 diatonic steps, only 1 is because of this sole use of the F sharp here. If we would produce the same in the same key, Fly Me to the Moon, then we would get the same chord. So that's starting on another degree. By the way, starting on another degree, then 1. You said Darn That Dream, you said in minor, You Don't Know What Love Is. They both start at the 1st degree, the tonic chord of the tonality, or the most important tonic chord of the tonality. And most tunes do. There's a minority of tunes that start at another degree than 1. That's also a good thing to, when we're going to make transcriptions of tunes. It's good to realize, do I hear the 1st degree actually in bar 1? And so that's analysis on the spot that you do. Making a transcription is not the end goal, no, it's just a way of visualizing what you hear. And analyzing is making in an analysis clear what you hear on the harmony at a certain point. So all of these and Fly Me to the Moon, to the moon first of all, because it's how known, are exceptions to the rule because of that. And are exceptions to the rule because you see all the 7 degrees in one tune. Also, that doesn't happen so much. That's rather strange, you would say. Can you give me another tune apart from All the Things You Are, which carries all the 7 degrees in a row? There aren't so many. Here's that rainy day, but that's somewhere in the middle. Then you hear completely autumn leaves inside that song. Here's that rainy day. Do you know that song by Jim Hall that played it with Paul Desmond?
Yeah, concert.
No. one blues. Yeah, ending in major, of course, because that was the first degree at the beginning. This was the first degree, becoming the first degree. So it's a bit of a wizardry maybe, because we make modulation to B flat major 7 in the key of G major. Now that is second year stuff. That's a bit heavy. And we are going to the major relative of G minor, which is the parallel of G major. Now, welcome in the second year. No, let's do the first year first. That's because that's tricky stuff. Now, if we are going to fly into the moon, of course this. What do I do now? Oh man, I have maybe had too long working at home. Ah man, B flat major 7, E flat major 7, A half diminished, and yeah, D7 again. So it's fly me to the moon, in the melody. Otherwise, the whole song is gone. Ya da ya da da, G7 2. In other words, C minor, D D D. In other words, usually you get this partially in a tune. 2 2 5 1 6 2 5 1 6. You know, a cycle or 1 4 3 6 2 5 1. Only one is missing. All 6 are there. But these are exceptions to the rule. And if you do in the tune of B flat, all the things you are, which is actually a good exercise to do. Can you play all the things you are, not starting on F minor, but starting on G minor? That's a good skill to develop too. Just like piano playing, for those who don't play the piano, please do so. Follow your harmony piano lessons frequently. And singing. Those two skills are essential musicianship skills. Apart from, of course, harmonies. But it's good to do that. It's good to do that, to develop it. And solfège is really the best way to find out if you hear internally what you play. To build that up. Sometimes it looks like you take maybe a couple steps back, but it's only for the better. You know, to build it up. And now's the time to do that, to learn that. Yeah. Now the 7th degree is liable to, in all the things you are, change, and then we are going to major. Now, B flat major 7 is going to D major 7. Now that sort of relationship, how nice all the things you are, is actually to play, or maybe relatively easy. That's a tricky thing to explain how that works. 1 and 3 also have a relationship in terms of time. And D minor 7 is the upper structure of B flat major 7. Yeah. If you make that D minor 7 and D major 7, yeah, that's hip shit. That's hip shit. One of the giant steps. But it happens very frequently in tunes. It happens that you go to the bridge, and somewhere in the end of the bridge you have the 3rd degree becoming a major chord. Now that sort of thing, when a minor chord is becoming a major chord, you expect minor and you get major. That's what we call a Picardy 3rd. That's a very ancient, 1,000 years ago they already get that. Minor coming from vocal polyphony. I mean, if you not very long. Maybe it should be minor and like Phrygian or something. Now, those things. Speaking of all together, starting in D minor, ending each A part in D major, or the first 2 A part. Yeah, that sort of surprise act. That's what it is. If you expect a minor chord and it's going to a major chord, that's another element which makes harmony fresh. And you can do that in major anyhow. The third degree can be major 7 chord. The sixth degree, which is usually minor, is minor of course diatonic, can be made major chord, major 7 chord, even the second degree. There are tunes where the second degree is becoming a major 7 chord. That's more far away, but 6 and 3, the two other chords with tonic function, can be made even a major 7 chord in some tunes. Now, that stuff is again parked into the second year. That's heavy stuff. We will come across a couple of times, but not standardly all the time. So all the things you are is relatively difficult because it modulates how many times? And then we make this minor. So we are going to F major 7, fifth lower, and then we end in A major in the end of the second A part. And then we stay in A major, and then we go to F sharp major, and then you find out that maybe this is not a good key to start in. F sharp major 7 piano. Now, but for more players, maybe not. You know. So there certain keys are chosen. I think Miles Davis did this, or Ahmad Jamal. I'm not sure. One of these, he did that sort of. I think Ahmad Jamal started this in 54. No, Miles did this in 58. Playing all of these together with Cannibal Adams. Something else. And the famous, And actually, Ahmad Jamal found this out, and Miles completely elaborated into a full-grown introduction for this song. But also Stella by Starlight, everybody is playing that in B flat, but thanks to Miles. I guess. Stan Getz already played that song very much earlier on the tenor in G major, the original key, because it's better for the tenor than to play it in B flat, because that's for the trumpet better. So it really matters, and that now we are playing it in those horn keys, you know. That's a bit but transposing is good. Maybe you're going to accompany a singer.
Yeah.
Then you learn how to transpose. They bring you a chart in B major. B major, fine. And then, oh no, can you do it a half step lower or higher? Or oh no, they bring you a chart in B flat and they say, hey, can you play it in B? No, okay, thank you. But on piano, no problem. I mean, more of a problem than on the guitar.
Guitar it's easier. Transposing with guitar.
Yeah, the color of the color on the instrument, piano or on guitar is different.
Yeah.
How do I know? I'm a guitar player from origin, and I did that for quite some years, accompanying. So because of that, I know a lot of songs with the lyrics. That helps. That helps to create a large reservoir of tunes. And what's so special about these tunes that this the tuning minor is really a special kind of thing. What did you own? What did you play?
In the N-classics, it could happen to everything happens to me. I don't know. I think those two tunes in the
Watch
second
What Happens?
round.
No. And it's, oh yeah. And rim changes or?
Yeah, there was a first round, and I played Bud Powell tune. I can't remember the name. I don't know. And then My Romance and Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah. That's another tune that doesn't start at the first degree, right?
Yeah.
It's starting at the third degree, which is the only tune I know, I think. Or maybe one other song by Joe Lovano. Starting at the third degree, that never happens. Yeah, on 2 or on 6, but 3. That's a very unstable tonic chord. 6 is relatively stable because you hear immediately the relative minor relationship with the more powerful major tonality. Yeah? But the third degree, if you play and you're going to the bridge, then you're going to the third degree, which sounds like miles and miles away from where you come from. If you go to the sixth degree in a bridge, then it feels like almost like home, but your brother's home. You know, it's relative, related. But if you're going to the third degree, it's across the street where you go to another home of your uncle. That's the kind of a stupid story about, but yeah, a home is tonic, and the first degree is of course tonic. But it could happen to you, and is an important tune because we'll discuss it because of the dominance that you can use in bar 2 and bar 4. And what did you play in bar 5 or chord?
Kind of third degree, but treating it as a first degree.
Yeah.
Like with
In first inversion.
yeah.
Yeah, now that's good to know. Sometimes the third degree is a very special chord in jazz. We always use it as a substitute for the first inversion of the tonic triad in one. Sometimes the tonic triad works pretty well. Starting Darn a Dream like that in first inversion of the first degree, or maybe do it even more. An extension to it in the middle voice. Now then you start wondering, what do I hear? Do I hear now A minor, or do I hear a first inversion of the tonic chord? Yeah, and everything happens to me. There you go to the third degree picker in the bridge. Yeah, so that's finally. Although you don't notice it while listening, you go first to the fourth degree, and then a half step lower, then you think, that's a nice a chromatic movement down, but actually we're not too far away from B flat because of that. Now, those kind of relationships we're going to talk about. What did you play? It's a long time ago.
Turn around? Turn around?
Yeah?
Yeah. Blues?
And turnaround is already a blues, and or turnaround tune.
Tune. Turn around tune.
Or
I
did
got
you
rhythm.
play the song Turnaround by Pepe?
I got rhythm. Tune.
Yeah. Just please continue. Yeah, a little bit. What blues did you play?
Blue Monk. Blue Monk.
Yeah.
And
Who wrote that song?
I don't.
Monk.
Yeah. Blue Monk.
Thelonious Monk wrote that. He's the writer of the tune.
Yeah.
You know who Thelonious Monk was?
I forgot.
Yeah, it might be good just to deepen your knowledge a little bit about who's who in jazz. That helps. How good is your English?
Yeah.
How good is your English? Can you read in English?
Yeah.
It might be handy just to pick a jazz history book. Then you kind of know, because I'm shouting now Ahmad Jamal, Miles Davis, Gil Evans.
Yeah.
It would be nice to have an historically oversight or an overlook who's who in jazz, who wrote what. Yeah, that it is not, let's say, kind of a mystical thing that you're listening to from me, because I'm throwing in a lot of names of players, styles.
Style.
That might be advisable. Reading this book right now, actually quite good. The history of jazz, but Joya. He also wrote a book about the Mississippi Delta blues, but okay, maybe that's in your spare time. But this is a very good one.
Yeah.
Very good one.
There's also, I think, for Joya, like a jazz standard vocabulary.
Yes,
And it's very cool.
very good.
I have it. It's really good.
It's very
To
cool.
look up.
Yes.
Version.
Then you see the background, how these tunes.
On the history of the tunes.
Yeah.
It's very
And
good.
I'm going to talk about in the first lecture. Oh yeah, that's what you don't know yet. The year will be just to finish that story too. 9 weeks in a row. The last 2 weeks of each period are no regular lessons, but you have maybe an individual coaching moment with me if you want. But there's also a lecture, and the first lecture is about Charlie Parker, a reconstruction of his bebop idiom. I found out that he learned a lot from the tune Honeysuckle Rose. I think everything that he invented is based on that. And I made a reasoning why, how, and where, how he did it. Who cares? Yeah, it's just a lick from the 50s. Well, he played it already in 1940, I think. Well, not completely, but it's actually coming from after 1 or 2 steps from Honeysuckle Rose. Now, so I looked up in this book Honeysuckle Rose. Fats Waller wrote it in 1929, forgot all about it. Then it became a hit. Then he had to learn his tune himself again, and then recorded it in 1934. And then beautiful recording. And what does he play in? What does he play in 1934? You're never going to believe this. Where is it? Long live 1934. Man,
It is culture changes. It's cultural changes.
25 years too
Very
early.
good.
So the stuff was already there, you know. So Coltrane just took something that was already known, was already out there.
Can you share with us your this record? Can
The
I?
essential Fats Waller, you're just gonna find it, but you need to find out which year. It doesn't say anything. Which year it is. Sometimes it might be nice to see some sort of a chronological order, because what we are talking about is only 100 years of music. Yeah? It's just, I mean, the classical department, they have to fight their way through a complete millennium.
They were slower.
They were slower.
Yeah.
The pace of development in jazz is amazing. It's really amazing. How they played in 1920 is incomparable to what they did in the early bebop. Completely different. Now that's a little bit where this first lecture will be about.
That's the thing with jazz, it's an overload of information.
In 20th century time go fast. Not like classicism, romanticism, one big century.
What did you study before? Did you study jazz?
Yeah, like a jazz school basically in Sweden.
Sweden.
Yeah, Sweden. So it's called folkhögskolor, which means you don't have any grades. You just kind of do what you're there to do, which was music in my case.
Mm-hmm.
So
And you studied really jazz topics, or how was it? What did you?
I don't know if you know a drummer that used to go here called Johannes Böhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he went to my school
Yeah, I had it in class.
the year before.
20 years ago. Now, anyway,
No,
But that's
it's like 2 years ago.
Oh, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because I also have
A Danish drummer.
Danish drummer,
Yeah.
Matthias Friedel. No,
Oh,
so,
sorry.
so many Danish.
Yeah. Anyways, like
Yeah.
Freedom, it's called.
Okay, and you play the guitar.
Yeah.
All those sort of things are common. I just explained also
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
everybody learned it probably slightly different with different names or so. But let's straighten that out also
Yeah.
a little bit, and we can talk to each other.
It's different in. It's kind of nice to just get an overview
Yes.
in
Yeah.
English as well. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, everything is in English.
Terminology is
So yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
it's
And,
nice.
and what did you play for?
So Stella by Starlight, Victor Young,
Yeah.
and Down the Dream,
Yeah.
Jimmy Van Huysen.
Yeah.
Sorry for the pronunciation.
Yeah, it sounds Dutch. Van Heusen is really a Dutch name. Of course, I mean Burt Bacharach
Yeah.
or Stephen Sondheim. Bacharach and Sondheim are just small villages in Germany. Huh? So a lot of guys and a lot of Russian composers. Gershwin is just a Russian immigrant. So there's a lot of Berlin. Who wasn't called Berlin, but his name was so difficult that they made Berlin out of it at the immigration department. So there's a lot of European harmony brought into the United States. So no wonder that all the standards became as they were. So, and what was the third tune?
I had the two other ones were two tunes by Kenny Garrett, so Backyard Groove, and like what is it? Sing a song of song or yeah.
Scruff, okay. Yeah, interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. And the tune is usually a tune that what we started with that a little bit.
You're a guitarist too, right?
Yeah, I'm a guitarist, but
What do you think about the Dream on guitar?
doable. I mean, it would be nice if you would listen to maybe. I think I made a version that was similar to. I don't know whether Billy Bauer, the guitar player of Lee Konitz, that's a hip cat. In that sort of vein, trying to reharmonize Down the Dream, it sounded a little bit like Good Rosary.
I like to also Jim Hall and Bill Evans.
Yeah.
The current,
Yeah.
incredible.
The hip guys. Yeah, the guitar is, as I said, just like the vibraphone. Actually, a new instrument in jazz. There's now a whole generation, of guys who can play the instrument well. You know, the Barney Kessel, all the early guys. Yeah, they could do one thing okay, but not. I think Joe Cass is a good example of classically, almost classically trained. He wasn't self-taught, of course, but technically a very proficient player. But I think, first of all, the Pepperthy, John Scofield generation, from there it started. And from then on, Rosenwinkel, who's my age, I think. And then, and anybody else later became much more, now that they can cope with piano players, harmonically, that they can cope with tenor players, melodically. From that generation on, Scofield and Matheny, impeccable technique, so that you can do that, and they build up also their own repertoire. But in the 30s, there was nobody that could play on the guitar just like Art Tatum technically was able to do, or Fats Waller, who just is man, that's a great piano player. Of course, Stein is a bit old-fashioned, but man, to make that happen. And now for vibraphone the same. I mean, that's a long until now. We have more examples of instrumentalists that are more all-round. Gary Burton is the first one to play with 4 sticks. Yeah, then you can play, of course, harmony. The guitar is also a 4-chord instrument, basically, and with a couple of exceptions, 5 or 6 part. But that's about it. The piano, you can do it all. That's really a difference between these 3 harmony instruments. So anyway, what's the time? Do we need to stop right now?
just 1 minute.
1 minute, and then let's round it up. This was just an introduction to what we are going to do.
Very good.
Maybe can you check out on your schedule if GT1 is somewhere else in the week for you scheduled?
GT1.
GT1, ear training 1, cohort training 1. Because that was our first class, now we do a little bit of ear training and a little bit of.
Okay, I don't have any GT1.
Then,
so
the next week we don't see each other here or in this or anywhere else in this building,
it's online.
but it will be online.
Yeah.
When? On Monday or on Wednesday, because those are the days that I teach in The Hague. The other 2 days I'm in Amsterdam teaching. Yeah, let's see. I'm going to send you maybe a tune to listen to, and maybe to transcribe already. But you don't hear any harmony.
Any
No,
harmony?
It comes from the bass and the melody, and of course your knowledge what you already have.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Give us work. We want to work. University housemates tell us, you never do nothing. You're a musician. I practice. So send us something to
Yeah,
write
yeah.
so they can see, oh, he's working. He's
I'll
working.
write that down. So yeah, we see each other online next week, and then if this schedule for this day will be there now, we start actually at 10:15, but maybe it would be nice to. I'll also notate it that you next week will be in this class for these 2 lessons and not only 1.
Yeah, do I have to email like Jarmo or someone about this?
Yeah, that's
Like
emailing Ryan
schedule
and planning
this.
departments is a bit of a thing, but the head of the theory department,
Okay.
Susanna Konings, is dealing with who's who in which lesson. So that's the one to I'm going to write down ear training 1 male students. That's still a secret. No, I'm going to do I'm an old cowhand by Sonny Rollins. Trio. No piano, no guitar.
Piano, bass, drummer, and sax. Right?
Yeah. I'm going to send you that by email. I will maybe I have to for next week and make a team on Microsoft Teams, and then you will get an invitation by mail, and then we work for the schedule next week right on time, so you can tune in at the time of the lesson.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. So cool. Okay. See you both.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.